tossers have thrown it out the door with their behaviour this week. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should absolutely look at themselves in the mirror and wonder what the have they been doing.
What the fuck?
They're hissing at us and calling us cheats in the Lord's long room, and they have the gall to say, talk to us about the spirit of cricket. Absolute bullshit.
There's a big appeal, it's hit him on the pad, he's out! Lions gone, New South Wales are 9 down! Onto Sydney Road, and it's hit a car! Oh, I think it's hit a car! What a way to bring up your 50!
All you want is to leave it all
Just to leave it all behind.
Now there is a simple
remedy
to stay fit for all eternity.
Oh, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cricket Unfiltered podcast, the longest running cricket podcast in Australia. I'm Menners, and I've just got back from the Sydney Cricket Ground. One of the advantages to living pretty close to the SCG is I can avoid having to record my podcast wrap outside in the rain, unlike some of the other podcasters who might have to do that tonight. But a lot to talk about. Big first day of the fifth test. England won the toss. They elected to bat, and they finished the day 3 for 211. England's day for sure. They rattled along at almost 5 and over, and the players went off just before 3 p.m. So we only got in under 45 overs today. So it was a short day, but a good day for England. As I said, they're 3 for 211. Root is 72 not out. Harry Brook is 78 not out, and they batted exactly 45 overs. The wicket takers for Australia, 1 for Stark, 1 for Neser, and 1 for Boland. Well, I have a lot to talk about on today's wrap. I've got a few interesting little asides that I'll get to later. I did run into the grade cricketer guys, Sam and Ian, so a bit of news there to discuss. But let's start with all the cricket. So Australia and England, the teams. So let's start with the teams. Australia decided to go in without Jai Richardson, and Bo Webster came in, and Todd Murphy wasn't picked. And some people are saying this is the death of spin bowling in Australia, because this is the first time since 1888 that Australia have gone into a test at the SCG without a frontline spinner. So this is absolutely unprecedented. And I think, as I've discussed after the MCG test, we've hit a nadir now in our country where the pitches need a complete overhaul, and it's a disgrace, really, the situation we're in. I don't know how it's got this bad, but we've got a pitch here at the SCG where you don't need a spinner. So really disappointing stuff. And I just wonder what this is going to do for the future of spin bowling in this country. This is going to discourage people from taking up the art. This is going to discourage first-class captains from backing their spinners. So something has to be done. It's not just around the spin bowling issue. We're seeing it with the batting. We're seeing it with green pitches at Shield and Test level. But I think we've hit crisis point now. And we had a situation today where David Gallop, who's head of venues, New South Wales, and Todd Greenberg were both out in the middle inspecting the pitch. Clearly, they were, I wouldn't say worried, but concerned and focused on making sure this game goes a decent amount of time. They don't want another 2.5-day test match like we saw last summer. But also, the thing about not playing a spin bowler is it just takes away from the game so much, because having the dimension of bringing a spin bowler into the attack adds so much. We saw today it was a bit samey from the Australians, and England pounced on that. So I think after this series there'll be a real inquisition really into the state of pitches, and I think it starts at Shield level and goes right up until the Test team, where they just have to accept that they need to flatten the wickets out a little bit. But yeah, so Australia go in also with Webster at 8. And this is the other thing. I don't particularly like going in with 3 frontline bowlers and 2 all-rounders. I think it's a negative move. And I actually think sometimes when batters see that there's someone like Bo Webster batting at 8, Mitchell Stark at 9, maybe they can just take the foot off a bit and not quite be as hungry for the runs as when you're, a top six batter and your keepers at 7 and then the bowlers, and you're like, okay, well, I really need to make some runs here. So I don't like that. It's a negative move. If you're not going to play spinner, I don't think playing Webster was the right pick. I would have still stuck with Richardson as a frontline bowler, or even just gone with Murphy, gone with Green, the 3 quicks and Murphy, and then just ask Cameron Green to actually bowl some overs. I mean, he's your all-rounder. He could have played as a 4th quick, and then you've got Murphy for maybe the back half of the game. So not particularly happy with this team. Now there was reporting that Steve Smith wanted this team. He didn't want to pick Nathan Lyon in Perth. And Steve Smith's reasoning is that it is easier to face the spinners on these pitches than any other type of bowling. So why would you pick a spinner and why would you bowl the spinner? So Steve Smith wanted this team. There's some criticism in the chat around the team that he's picked. Let's see how this game plays out. But at 3 for 211, it hasn't gone well today. Huge partnership from Root and Brook. When they came together, the score was 3 for 57. And then they managed to put on 154 unbeaten before the rain came in. So it has backfired on Australia today, and overall a negative move to going with Webster at 8. So not particularly happy with the team. England made just one change. Potts came in for Atkinson, and they're not playing a spinner, so they've just got Will Jacks again as the all-rounder batting down the order, bowling his little door handles as I can't remember who calls them door handles, but I like that expression for what he rolls out. So Ben Stokes won the toss and batted today, and it was the 4th toss that Steve Smith has lost. So I think Pat Cummins won the toss when he came in, and then Smith has lost all the other ones. So he mentioned that on the coverage that he wasn't too happy with that. And can you believe it? Since 1888, Australia hasn't played a spinner at the SCG. I mean, these are unprecedented times, crisis times. And Smith said at the toss that he thought the pitch could be slow today, cracks underneath, and then the pitch could speed up tomorrow. So actually tomorrow might be a little bit more difficult to bat than today. So we saw this at the MCG. Sometimes if a pitch can bake in the sun like it did today, and it was quite sunny until the rain came in, it can just speed up a bit and dry a bit of that grass off, and all of a sudden everything's happening a bit quicker than it did on day one. Australia will hope it does because they need to take wickets, but of course then they've got to go and bat on it. So look, it was a pretty good start for England. Crawley and Duckett got things off to a pretty brisk start. The outfield at the SCG was absolutely flying. Real value for your shots. Early on, Crawley edged one through the slips. But then Duckett was out for 27 of just 24 deliveries, caught behind off Stark, playing wide of his body. Carey took the good catch, and England were 1 for 35. So a better than a runner ball for Duckett, but Stark has worked him out this series. Then Crawley was out LBW to Michael Neser, and that made the score 2 for 51. And Neser got Crawley to just play across his front pad. Now, it was a big off-cutter, sort of pitched maybe just outside off stump, cut right back in and hit Crawley in front of middle stump. And it was given out, then referred, and it was umpires called hitting leg stump. But Crawley was just getting caught up with that front pad. So England 2 for 51. He was out for 16, and that was basically the first hour gone. So brisk scoring with 2 wickets. Then Jacob Bethel came to the crease. Jacob Bethel came out at 3, but then Jacob Bethel was the next player out. Boland, and this is beautiful stuff from Boland, but some real inexperience from Jacob Bethel. And this is what you get when you put a player out in the middle, batting number 3 in a test, and he's never made a first-class century. I mean, it's crazy to think that he's never made a first-class century, and he's batting at number 3 in the 5th Ashes test. And so Boland, and this is what you get, Boland bowling around the wicket, Bethel's just shuffling across his crease to negate the angle coming back to him. So, he's moving across to his left. So Boland goes, all right, I'm going to switch to over the wicket. First ball over the wicket, pushes it across Bethel instead of the angle from around the wicket, and Bethel just plays at its edge straight to Carey, and he's out. Too easy, I've got to say, too easy for Boland. Great bowling, but if you're Bethel, you've got to be better than that. You've got to know that ball's going across you, and you're just going to let it go. So England at this stage were 3 for 57, and in licorice all sorts. They'd lost 3 for 22 after being none for 35, and They went to lunch 3 for 114. So a bit of a fight back from Brook and Root before lunch. And then after lunch, they batted really well. They just took the attack up to the Australians. They got a lot of 4 balls. Root went to his 50 off just 65 balls. Harry Brook went to his 50 off just 63 balls. And the attack seemed samey for Australia, but also then there were these strange passages of play where they did set Brook up for the trap. Smith would spread the field and the bowlers would bowl short. There was one, I can't remember the bowler, but he hit one straight up in the air and it just fell between 3 fielders. So Brook survived that one, but they rode their luck and they went to the first drinks break after lunch at 3 for 170, so scoring at a run a minute after lunch. But then the bad light came in when the score was 3 for 211, and just before 3 p.m. local time, they went off. And they haven't gone back since. There was some rain, there was some lightning in the distance, but I think there's been a bit of a conspiracy here to keep them off. So this match goes into the 4th day. I don't think there was any rush to get out there because 45 overs have been bowled, so no refund for the fans. And hopefully they'll get 4 days of cricket at the SCG, maybe 5. It's supposed to rain tomorrow afternoon as well, but after what happened at Perth and the MCG, it's hard to argue with their logic of wanting the game to go a little bit longer. I heard some frustration on the radio that there didn't seem a real urgency to play cricket this afternoon once they went off. But it did rain quite heavily for a while. It was very cloudy and there was some lightning in the distance. So I think there was an issue of safety for the players of not going back out there. And so they go off for bad light. Then they took tea. Marnus spoke to the coverage and said that the wicket looks a little slow. And as I said, it might speed up tomorrow. There was a nice tribute to Bob Simpson at the tea break. David Boone spoke, and, what a great contributor Bob Simpson was to Australian cricket. So nice to see him honoured after passing away in the winter, the first SCG test then. And also the English cricket team were wearing black armbands in memoriam for the late Hugh Morris. So, Also, I have to talk about the scenes before play, beautiful scenes where the first responders for the Bondi attack, the Bondi massacre, the first responders were honoured, and Ahmed, who tackled one of the gunmen, was honoured as well. He was there. And it was quite moving scenes as the first responders and Ahmed came onto the field. Huge applause, and we've all seen the footage. I mean, Ahmed, an everyday hero. For him to do that and was incredible. So, quite a moment at the SCG, and, it's been an emotional time in Sydney, and I thought that was a well done ceremony honouring those people. Some of those people, so those first responders, walked into gunfire to look after people. Like the shooting hadn't stopped, and some of those lifesavers and people there were going to help people. So, we are talking about very, very brave individuals that deserve our respect and deserve honouring, and they got it. So overall, good day for England. They're 3 for 211. They'll resume tomorrow morning, and you would have to say they're well in front of this game. It looks like they'll get a pretty decent first innings score, and the pitch does look difficult to bat on. So who knows what to expect out of the rest of this match. But unfortunately, right now you'd be back in 3-2. You'd be back in England to win this in series, ending 3-2 with runs on the board. But I guess counter to that, I said at the top of the show, I thought it was negative having Webster at 8. I guess if it works out well, then Australia have a huge batting order with a lot of players looking to impress before there's a big gap until the next series up north in the wintertime against Bangladesh. So a lot on the line for these batters. I mean, Weatherald, Labuschagne, Webster, Green, all need runs in this inning. So, a lot to play for them, but England well on top at the moment. Australia will have to start well tomorrow morning. Now, just a few asides. I believe Nathan Lyon will be back in action in about 4 months. He's going to be out of action for 4 months, so probably start bowling again in 4 months. And that would mean he'll be ready for the next test series against Bangladesh up north. There's no real cricket before then that for the Australian test side, so he won't miss any test matches. So we'll probably expect Nathan Lyon back for that top end series. I don't know if people were watching the Channel 7 coverage, but also Cricket Australia tweeted this out that Baz McCullum was going against the spirit of crosswords. So he was looking at the answers and doing his crosswords. I mean, this is way worse than stumping someone at Lords within the rules of the game. This is blatant cheating. So, look, I think it's a disgrace to the spirit of crosswords, and I certainly won't be having a beer with Baz after what I saw. And I think it's probably the final straw in what's been a disastrous campaign. But yeah, the spirit of crosswords definitely denigrated. I had a good chat today with Nasser Hussain. He was sat next to me in the press box. So it was good to talk to him about his podcast, his travels around the country. We had a bit of a laugh about Baz being busted on the crossword and how tough it is for the English tourists. Okay, the last thing before I wrap this up. So don't forget, before I get into the last little aside, I will be coming to you every day after the Sydney Test. I'm going to be at the ground. I'm going to be, depending on the weather and stuff, I might do live on YouTube like I'm doing now straight afterwards, or I'll be recording and uploading them not long after. But remember, rate and review the podcast on your favorite app. It's been great. I ran into a few listeners today when I was wandering around in the break. It was great. It was great to see them. And, if you see me at the SCG, if you come and say hello, love to see you. All right, last thing, speaking of saying hello to people. So I'm in the media box, and I run into the grade cricketer guys. And Sam Perry, he's not happy with me. He said, so for those that missed the beginning of this story, I'm not going to go through it again, but basically Sam Perry pulls me up and he says, look, that was really bad what you said about Higgos. And I think I called Higgos an arsehole. Sometimes I black out on the podcast, but I think I called him an arsehole. And Sam was like, oh, that was me actually. It was me actually sort of winding you up a bit. It wasn't Higgos. So I've listened to that audio where they're talking about me on the podcast, and it definitely wasn't just Sam winding. It wasn't Higgos and Sam both were saying things, and I don't think they were intentionally winding me up. They were just, doing their funny show. But yeah, Sam was very upset at my characterization of Ian as an arsehole because it was Sam who was trying to wind me up. So I said to them I would correct the record on this podcast because I don't like records to go uncorrected. So I told them this, and I'll tell you guys. I don't think Ian's the arsehole. I think they're both arseholes. But they didn't see the funny side to that when I said that to them in the press conference today, or the press box today, which is odd because they run a comedy podcast and they don't seem to have much of a sense of humor. But anyway, that's my run-in with the grade cricketer boys. Very sensitive, for two guys that tell a lot of jokes and make a lot of fun of people. Didn't find it so funny. But yeah, anyway, are they assholes? Probably. I mean, that's my experience with them, and that experience goes back about 10 years. So is that enough of a sample size to form an opinion on someone or two people? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You be the judge. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. I did see Adam Collins today. Great. Had a great embrace. Chatted cricket. Things have never been better. Me and Colo, like this. Never been better. All right. That's it for my wrap of the Cricket from day one of the SCG. I'll be back after day 2.